First thing we'd have to decide, are we going to raise prices on our customers, or are we going to cut employees or employee benefits? Because one of the three is going to have to happen with that big of a tax increase.
The Small Business Rundown is the official podcast of the National Federation of Independent Business, the member-driven voice of small business. NFIB and our members advocate to keep America's small businesses strong and independent in Washington, D.C., all 50 states, and the nation's courts.
Welcome to the Small Business Rundown, a biweekly podcast with information on independent businesses' victories and challenges in Washington, D.C. and state capitals. I'm Adam Temple, NFIB's Senior Vice President of Advocacy. Today, we'll discuss what small business owners are saying about their biggest tax challenges and how tax policy impacts the operations of small businesses across the nation. Returning as our guest today is Holly Wade, Executive Director of the NFIB Research Center. Holly, thanks for joining us today to discuss the results of your team's tax survey and the 20% small business tax deduction.
Great to be here.
Holly, to start, what was the goal of the NFIB Research Center's tax survey?
So the goal of the tax survey, we've done a number of surveys over the last number of years. In 2017, when the Tax Cut and Jobs Act was enacted, and then a few in between then and now. But for this survey, we wanted to get a better understanding of small business owners in filing their taxes, how they go about filing their taxes, what the pain points are in filing their taxes, and what challenges they face. And so this was a good way to better understand where our members are and how they're thinking about the possible expiration of those tax provisions that were so meaningful in the 2017 tax law.
And what did you find were some of those pain points when it comes to filing taxes?
Well, first of all, it's the amount of money that they're paying. That's always been one of their biggest challenges, is the level of taxation, the amount that they're paying in those levels. For instance, they're paying federal taxes on business income, state taxes on business income, for a lot of them, property taxes, and for many, employment taxes, and on a state level, sales taxes. So there's a lot of different ways that they're taxed. It's a lot of time that they're committing to properly filing their taxes, understanding changes in the tax code on those various levels, and then again, the amount that they're paying in taxes for operating their business.
And as far as the expiring tax provisions that you mentioned, what were some of the notable findings of the survey that stood out to you?
Well, one was that 9 out of 10 small business owners use a tax professional in preparing their taxes and filing their taxes for them. I guess it's not terribly surprising given the complexity of the tax code and the different levels of taxation that they're having to comply with. But still 9 in 10, that's most small business owners are using a tax preparer, paying a tax preparer to pay their taxes, which seems a little bizarre that, you're having to pay somebody a lot of money to then pay your taxes and make sure that you're compliant. But many of them are doing so because of the complexity related to their obligations in paying those taxes and making sure that they get it right.
And once they're actually filing and paying those taxes, what have been some of the reported impacts of the expiration of certain deductions or other tax breaks that they're currently seeing?
Sure. So a lot of them, it's a lot of uncertainty right now. Many of them don't know the impact or the pending impact if those tax provisions expire. And so this is a great opportunity for NFIB to better educate our members on some of those more helpful tax provisions that have been benefiting so many small business owners over the last almost 9 years now, and what it would mean for them if those taxes were expired and their level of taxation or the amount that they're paying in taxes increase. So when we do pose those questions of what would it look like if the income tax rates or the 20% small business deduction expired, what that would mean for them operating their business, and most of them said that they would have to raise prices. Not surprisingly. For others, they said that they would have to slow down capital spending, not invest as much in their business because they wouldn't have the money that they thought they would to invest in their business. And then others even said that it would impact employment, maybe not filling that position that they have open right now, delaying hiring in their business. And so all of those trade-offs that they would have to decide whether they could go forward with some of that would be scaled back or eliminated altogether in some instances if their taxes were increased at the end of 2025.
And along those lines, Holly, you mentioned the 20% small business deduction. At a recent event, we asked a few NFIB members from across the country how the end of that deduction would affect their business moving forward. Here's a compilation of what they had to say.
My name's Rodney Weidman, own Weidman Pools. We're located in Festus, Missouri. First thing we'd have to decide, are we going to raise prices on our customers, or are we going to cut employees or employee benefits? Because one of the three is going to have to happen with that big of a tax increase.
I am Laurie Sprouse. I am president and co-owner of Ultimate Ventures. We're a destination management company in Dallas, Texas. It's very demotivational to continue working so hard and think about giving up that much. And we would have to figure out how to draw back from our employees.
My name is Jed Bauman. I'm from Pierce, South Dakota, and I'm a small business owner. We currently have a building material supply company, a general contracting company, and we do multifamily and single-family housing developments. So you kind of freeze hiring and wages, and then them dollars are going to come off of Main Street and out of our communities.
Claudia Smith. I own Aggieland Carpet One. I'm from College Station, Texas. We're probably going to have to lay off a couple employees, not offer the benefits that we've been able to offer so far, freeze the employees' pay, and we will have to go up on our prices so our customers will suffer as well.
My name is Kathy DeMerchant, and I'm a small business owner. I co-own a staffing firm with my partners based out of Augusta, Maine, Capital Area Staffing, and also we have a Bangor office, Bangor Area Staffing. We were just notified last week that our insurance premiums were going up 18.25%. If this tax deduction goes away, in addition to the increase of the premiums, it's going to be very difficult for us to continue providing this very important benefit to our staff.
So, Holly, in their own words, a lot of our members talking exactly about what you're talking about and how they'd be impacted by the expiration of the small business deduction. But beyond that one specifically, what other top challenges did the survey find small business owners face?
Well, the other two big challenges that we found through this survey, but also our monthly Small Business Economic Trends survey, are inflation and labor. Right. So the higher cost levels that small business owners are having to pay for inventory, supplies, all the things that they need to operate their business, and also higher compensation because of the tight labor market and not being able to fill a lot of those vacant positions that they have right now. So inflation, increased price levels, the price levels that they're having to pay right now, and then also being able to find qualified employees or qualified applicants for those open positions are huge challenges right now for many of our members.
Any other key takeaways on their overall feelings about the economy, Holly?
Well, for a lot of them, it looks like they're doing okay personally in operating their business. But when they look at their local economy and certainly the national economy, it looks a bit more pessimistic. And, they're concerned about what this means for them moving forward in operating their business and impacts how they invest in their business. If their business is doing okay, but they see looming uncertainty as far as their local economy or the national economy, that's going to impact how they move forward with their business.
Thank you, Holly. Before we go, anything else you'd like to add?
Well, certainly uncertainty is one of the biggest challenges that they're facing right now. Just not knowing how economic conditions are evolving, those economic conditions might impact their business. So there's a lot of kind of waiting on the sidelines, not betting on investing in their business right now, maybe holding off to see how things develop going forward. And, it goes back to looking to see what their tax liabilities will be at the end of 2025, if they're going to experience a tax increase, or they can bank on the tax provisions being extended or hopefully made permanent, because we do know that one of the biggest challenges are the frequent changes in tax code. And keeping up with that is certainly a problem for a lot of our small business owners. And having that certainty moving forward will go a long way in helping them best operate their business.
Holly, thanks for joining us today. We always appreciate your time and your analysis on this recent survey.
Great to be here.
We'll include a link in today's show notes for listeners who would like to learn more about the survey. Also in today's show notes, listeners will find a link to take action by signing NFIB's petition urging Congress to make the small business deduction permanent before it expires at the end of 2025, thus leaving small business owners with a massive tax hike. And now I want to thank you, the listeners, for joining us on today's Small Business Rundown. We'll be back every 2 weeks bringing you news and analysis from Washington, D.C. and state capitals so that you, whether you're a business owner or a supporter of one, can continue to blaze a trail.
The Small Business Rundown is brought to you by NFIB, the voice of small business. You can find us at nfib.com and on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn.